my colleague Soumya, who's been tracking the auctions. Just to mention a couple of other names that have gone unsold. Riley Russo, possibly a surprise. Karun Nair, Steven Smith has gone unsold in the first try, and Manish Pandey. These are the names that have gone unsold. But other than that, let me go across to my colleague Soumya, also joining us. Soumya, what's the latest happening in the auctions now?
So Daryl Mitchell has been among the bidding war, and also Harshal Patel got a good amount, 11.75 crores. He's got Harry Brook went for 4 crores. That was a bit surprising for me, the way he went in the auctions last year. Apart from that, Daryl Mitchell has finally gone to for 3.6 crores. He's been bought, and Rachin Ravind was a surprise for me, 1.8 crores. But again, he's a youngster, will get groomed under someone like an MS Dhoni. And also they do have a lot of left arm spinners in Mitchell and Ravindra Jadeja, and now Rachin Ravind adding to that squad. But again, MS Dhoni is someone who is very fond of left arm spinners, so that was probably the case with Rachin Ravind, and also the kind of batting display he put up in the World Cup with those hundreds and everything. He's quite familiar to the conditions as well down, in that area of where the IPL will be held for CSK, where CSK will be playing their home matches. So that is something that has added up.
Yeah, Soumya, speaking about Chennai Super Kings, Swan, it seems like they're coming to the party. You were talking about them keeping their noses down a little bit, but they have lapped up Daryl Mitchell for a whopping 14 crore rupees. So they needed somebody in place of Ben Stokes. They've got somebody.
Yeah, I just see that now. I mean, I think, again, a brilliant World Cup for Mitchell.
Yeah.
And has proven how sort of key it is. It's that batsman in that middle order role, the numbers 4, 5 and 6. They're the ones who win you games in the IPL. More often than not, they have to either chase down a total or really set that big total. So whereas your bowlers might pick you up wickets here or there, teams will always put a lot of money in that middle sort of innings area. You see, like Glenn Maxwell always goes for huge money. Mitchell's sort of in that role. A very good player of spin bowling. He's shown that he can hit the ball down the ground really well using his feet, and also sweep well.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of people would have been very keen to get that on board their franchise. A foreigner who plays spin really well in the IPL, and from that New Zealand team as well. He's their best player in a team that sort of continually punches above their weight. I know we always say that. They are a fine team with a lot of good players, but Mitchell's been the pick of them in the last few years. So it's a lot of money, though. It's more than I expected, but good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. There seemed to be a bit of a bidding war, a protracted one for him. But overall, Graham, do you think there's been a little bit of divide over this and a little bit of discussion over this? Should the recently gone by World Cup performances be the ones that the teams would be going for? It certainly seems some of those stars from the World Cup are certainly fetching top dollar. Or is it that a lot of teams are going to ignore what happened in that 50-over World Cup and are going to just have a strategy that is completely different?
Well, yeah, that's the argument, isn't it? The very crux of it is that what is fresh in the mind of people will influence you at an auction. And even though the franchises do plan, and they do have mock auctions beforehand, just to make sure they don't get carried away, they don't get emotional on the night. I'm sure sitting there when they're thinking, well, we do want this player, and if he's just scored 100 in a World Cup, just a month ago, and the bids get close and you get towards the end, someone's going to panic and stick that paddle in the air and keep adding to it. Personally, I think, a 50-over World Cup is exactly that. I wouldn't go too much off it. I would be thinking long-term what's happened last year's IPL in T20 cricket, moving into this. I think that's where you pick up your steals, your bargains. If you just go on the 50-over World Cup, you end up paying a lot of money for people who aren't necessarily suited for T20 cricket or IPL. I'm not saying that about Mitchell at all, because he's a good T20 player. But yeah, I'd be more going down the line of look at what's happened in the T20 rather than the very recent 50-over past.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Just very quickly going back across to Soumya as well to get an update. I'm looking at the charts, and Royal Challengers Bangalore haven't bought anybody just yet. What do you think of the strategies? Clearly Sunrisers have more or less spent everything that they had. What about the strategies from the others? What is Royal Challengers Bangalore looking for in this auction, Soumya?
No, clearly they had a strategy to take up Pat Cummins, but that didn't really go well. That didn't really go with along the way they wanted to. But because the bidding was much higher, they have been looking for someone like someone of that sort, so, who can play a containing bowler's role, because they just have Reece Topley as a overseas pacer. They have Siraj, they have Akashdeep, but these guys have been giving away some runs in the death overs, and they have been a bit they haven't been economical in the T20 format in the IPL. So they needed someone of that sort. They needed someone who is experienced enough, and plus also they are probably looking for looking at the bidding they made. They are looking for someone who can also take up the leadership role in the coming years, probably because Pat Cummins does have a lot of cricket left, and he played he won the World Cup with Australia, he won the WTC with Australia. That was the reason they went for him. But a hard luck for RCB. They couldn't get him. But that is the strategy they are opting for, having someone who can also be in the leadership role and is a top class bowler and probably overseas.